Okay. I think we're live.
We are here.
We are.
You and me
Yeah.
and Chico.
Hey, Chico. Oh, boy. Okay. So, I am Betty.
I'm Mark.
And together, we are the pastors, too. Okay. Well, okay. And I know we're live. There was a little bit of a pause there, I think, while I was checking things out. But anyway, we are live. And if you're here, be sure you drop a note in the chat down below and let us know that you're here, where you're watching from. And anyway,
I'm watching from Oklahoma City.
Are you?
I think.
Oklahoma City?
I think.
Are you sure?
No.
He's not. He didn't know where he is. He's somewhere in the world.
I'd rather be on the cruise.
Well, yeah, I guess. I got kind of tired of it, though. I was ready to come home.
But now you're ready to go back, right?
In a few months.
Oh.
We do have another one scheduled in November. Different places this time.
Different ship. A brand new
Yeah,
ship.
different ship. Yeah, brand new ship. The Carnival Jubilee. So, okay.
All right. What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Who in the Bible has ADHD?
Yeah, I was going to say this first, though.
Okay.
Just to make sure that everybody knows, we are, well, I'm the founder and owner or whatever and coach at Inspired Shepherd, and I do that. This chair, I got to get a different cover for this chair. It's driving me crazy.
Need a solid color.
Yeah, we talked about that, but we haven't gotten it yet. Anyway.
Okay.
We'll get there eventually. We'll keep doing stuff a little bit at a time. We'll get better and better at this.
And she brought up another idea yesterday, so stay tuned.
Yeah, that may be a few months in the making. But anyway, so...
Okay, founder.
Huh?
Okay, founder. You said you're the founder.
Well, I am.
Okay, of Inspired Shepherd.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say about
and I said I'm the coach.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I'm the only coach at Inspired Shepherd. But, there's a lot of coaching that needs to be done. So, if you have any interest in coaching, talk to me.
Women of many talents.
And don't even go there. Anyway, so, but we started this podcast over a year ago. Got sidetracked by health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Doing great now, and we're back. And this is our second time in a row, second week in a row to be back. So, I just want you to know, first of all, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And hit that like button and the bell notification so that you get notified when we're going live. I actually have done that myself under, my own name, Did
you get a notification?
I did. That's what I was just going to say.
It works.
Yeah, it does. What about you?
I got a notification last week. I've got my phone on silent, so I don't know if I got one today or not.
Well, mine is on silent too, but anyway.
All right.
Okay.
Continuing on.
Yeah. Let me see. I need to do that. Okay. So, you started to say, what are we talking about?
ADHD in the Bible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about it?
Who has ADHD? Last week we talked about Peter.
That one was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
He was really impulsive and kind of, I don't know.
Well, he got scared or he got afraid whenever Jesus was being persecuted. And,
When they were getting ready to crucify
ran
him, yeah.
and hid and then denied that they even knew him.
Yeah. And he struggled with consistency.
Mm-hmm. Impulsive.
He was impulsive. He could hyper-focus, though.
Mm-hmm.
And once the Holy Spirit got a hold of him on Pentecost, which yesterday was Pentecost, you know?
Sure was.
And when the Holy Spirit got a hold of him on Pentecost,
You couldn't stop him.
yeah, you couldn't stop him. He was a
Hyper-focus.
powerhouse.
Yeah.
And so Jesus called him, and he called him the Rock. And
on this rock I will build my church.
right. You're talking really quiet. I wonder if can y'all hear him?
Can people hear me? Well, the green light it's going all the way across.
Well, sometimes, but I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, let us know if there's any problem, if you're having trouble hearing us.
We'll go back and listen to it later.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know what we'll do about it. If you might need to turn your volume up. Not for me. I've got the loud mouth. But that's part of my ADHD. That's part of who I am.
But I have ADHD.
Well, I know.
I don't have a loud mouth.
I don't know how to explain that. Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
okay.
So tonight,
Who are we talking about?
who are we talking about tonight?
Moses.
You think Moses had ADHD?
Well, there's some indications that would suggest that he did.
Like
Self-doubt, hesitancy. When God called him to lead the people, he didn't want to do it. He said, find somebody else. I can't talk. Speech difficulties, that's another thing. And he was angry at times and impulsive.
Sounds a little like Peter.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think he said something along the lines of, "Who am I to lead?"
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, let's back up. Let's talk about when he was young. I mean, Pharaoh, the people of Israel the children of Israel were in Egypt. They'd gone there because there was plenty of food there during a famine. And they lived there for a long time. And then the Pharaoh that was there at the time died. And a new one came to the throne, and he didn't know. They'd gone there because of Joseph. And he didn't know Joseph. He didn't know anything about his family. He didn't know anything about the Israelites, and he got scared.
Yeah.
And so the Egyptians started oppressing the Hebrews and they turned them into slaves.
Right.
Started making
forced labor on them.
Yeah.
Like probably 18, 20 hours a day.
And
heavy work.
Yeah. And then, but the thing is, the Israelites, the Hebrews, whatever you want to call them, they just kept getting more and more populous or whatever.
Right.
They were
growing. Yeah.
And so the Pharaoh decided that he needed to stop that.
He was afraid that they might overtake him.
Yeah. So they started. He started killing the baby boys, and Moses came along, and his mama had a different idea. She saw she had a baby boy, and so she managed to hide him for a while. But the Pharaoh was killing all those babies under 2 years of age. And why 2 years? That's not a part of this. But
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because I mean, okay. I'll leave it. You know, but it happened in Jesus' time too.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You got it. You know, I mean, this is the way my brain works, okay? You know, things like this pop into my head and then, you know.
So he was nursed for 3 months, and then what happened after that?
Well, I don't know why she did this, but maybe she had ADHD. I don't know. I mean, it is hereditary. But his mama made a papyrus basket and fixed it up and made it so it would float and put it among the reeds in the Nile River, and down where the Pharaoh's daughter would see it, hopefully, sent her daughter out to keep an eye on things. And sure enough, the Pharaoh's daughter would go and bathe in the river, and she heard the baby cry. And they rescued it. She sent one of her handmaidens to rescue it. Then Moses' sister stepped out of hiding and suggested getting one of the Israelite women, the Hebrew women, whatever, to nurse the baby for her. And so that's what they did.
They brought the mother back to nurse.
Yeah, the mother
Moses.
came. Yeah, right. She went and got the mother. That was Miriam. That was his sister, Miriam. And so he ended up, though, being adopted by Pharaoh's daughter and growing up in the palace. Now, can you imagine? He's a part of these people. And I guess as he grew up, he knew that. He knew he was different. Mm-hmm. And he grew up in the palace and the...
that was an advantage later on, him growing up in the palace. He knew the ways of the Israelites. And
the Israelites or the Egyptians?
No, never mind. But, growing up...
You're confusing me.
Okay, I like to do that.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. We don't have a whole lot of time.
He had knowledge of the ways, and so that helped him down the road.
But it also got him in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because one day he was out, and I don't know what he was actually doing. I don't remember, but he was out, observing things, and he saw an Egyptian beating one of the Hebrew men. And it made him angry. And I thought this was just impulsivity, but in doing some research, we came across the idea that it was what's called injustice sensitivity, where when somebody's being mistreated, whether it's yourself or somebody else, people with ADHD or other forms of neurodivergence like autism or whatever, have a strong sense of injustice when injustice is
it's not, you can be upset at something that goes on or other things, but this goes a lot deeper than that. You actually get mad, you get angry over the injustice.
Hey, I think you're learning some things.
Well, I read something on the internet.
Oh, you did?
Or on AI or wherever it was. But it's a deeper feeling, more of a hate of what's going on, rather than just, I don't like it.
Okay. Well, anyway, whatever it was, he killed the Egyptian and then buried him in the sand. And then went on like nothing had happened until the next day.
Yeah, he came back the next day.
And what was going on?
He saw two men fighting.
Were they Egyptians?
Mm-hmm.
They were? No, they were.
I'm confused anyway.
You're confused. It was his own people. It was
Right.
the Hebrews,
Right.
Israelites, whoever. And
And he went to them and said, "Why are you fighting?"
yeah, and one of them said, "What are you going to do? Who made you my
He made you ruler.
Yeah. And so what are you going to do to me? Are you going to kill me like you did that Egyptian?" And that's when Moses realized that he had been seen. He thought that nobody saw him.
He got scared.
And yeah, he got scared. And so he took off and ran. And he ended up in Midian, which was out in the wilderness. And that's where things kind of got interesting. He met Jethro. He met his
daughters.
He met his daughters at a well, and they
Right.
told their father about him. And then their father invited, had them invite him to come and stay with them, eat with them, whatever. And anyway, and then Jethro gave his daughter Zipporah, I think, to Moses as his wife. And Moses he was 40 years old when all of this took place, when he killed the Egyptian and then went out into the desert. If you think about it, I was having a conversation recently and talking about my age and how old, because I'm retired. And at least I was.
You were retired.
I was retired. But now I'm a certified coach. And I'm not exactly a spring chicken. But Moses was even older. And Moses went out and he was 40 years old when he went out into Midian. And he was there for 40 years. So he was 80 years old when God called him to go and to lead his people out of Egypt.
So you've got a lot of years left.
I guess. My doctor tells me I do, so, hey. Anything can happen. We'll see. But anyway, okay, so you're distracting me. Yes, that's my
me to be quiet?
ADHD. No.
Okay, carry on.
What?
So he was 80 years old when God called him.
And he was out tending the sheep. And so he was a shepherd. Anyway, he was out tending the sheep, his father-in-law's sheep. And he saw something, and I should have had this up. I thought about it. Thought crossed my mind. But if you saw the little blurbs that I put out, I had a burning bush. Anyway, I should have had a picture of a burning bush. Should have used that one. I didn't. Anyway, sorry about that. But he saw a burning bush, and he went to investigate. And God spoke to him out of that bush. That'd be a little unsettling.
That would be, that'd bring in a lot of fear.
Well, yeah. But God told him to take off his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. And then God talked to him and he called him and said, "Go and tell my people. Go and talk to Pharaoh." That's probably what scared him.
I'm sure. Not just the voice from the bush, but yeah.
Well, going and talking to Pharaoh, because he grew up in the palace, like we said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think he probably kind of had an idea of how angry Pharaoh could get. Anyway, what do you all think? Let us know down in the chat. do you have any questions about what we're talking about? Feel free to ask, and we'll try to answer. Sometimes we have more questions than we have answers. So, anyway, let's see, what else are we... okay, we talked about injustice sensitivity and impulsivity. He didn't feel like he fit in. I mean, that was another thing. He was at he didn't fit in at the palace because he was an Egyptian. He didn't fit in with the Hebrew people because he was raised as an Egyptian. And then he was, he ran off into the wilderness and hung out with people that, again, he wasn't really a part of, but they took him in. And he married into the family. So it's, I don't know, you got any thoughts on that?
Didn't feel like he belonged anywhere.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. So anyway, and then he started telling God, send somebody else. Do you ever do that? If God asks you to do something, do you ask him to send somebody else, or do you gladly say, here, my Lord, send me? Something to think about.
Mm-hmm. So he had some communication challenges, or so he thought. Find someone else. I can't do it. But in one of the scriptures we looked at this week was in Acts chapter 7, which brings up the story of Moses again. And one verse stood out. It said, Moses was taught all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and here we go, and he was powerful in both speech and action.
So that says that he wasn't so slow of speech. If he was powerful in speech and action, what happened?
It was just a self-esteem issue, I guess.
Maybe something we call in coaching the inner critic. Ever heard of the inner critic? That's that little voice inside of you that says, you can't do it. If you read through Moses' story, you can see a lot of inner critic there. Mm-hmm. Where Moses was thinking that he was, he didn't have the voice to do it. I don't know what happened during that 40 years out there in the wilderness, but he sure decided that he wasn't as smart or as good of a leader or whatever as what God was telling him.
Yeah, he convinced God not to destroy the people after they built the calf.
Okay, so how does that...
Well, that goes back to the powerful in speech. But
well, yeah, but I'm looking at my notes here. Okay. Anyway, back to the inner critic though. Do y'all hear? Do you have an inner critic? Most everyone does. So, what do you do whenever you hear that inner critic? I send mine off to work in the garden. She's not very good at it. But anyway, and here's a question. What was God seeing in Moses that Moses wasn't seeing in himself? What might you be seeing, or what might God be seeing in you that you aren't seeing in yourself? Something to think about. So anyway, okay. Let's see. Okay, you mentioned he was pleading for the people. He was okay. First of all, let's talk about it. He made all kinds of excuses there at the burning bush. And this is the title of the episode, From Excuses to
Exodus.
Exodus. So he was making all kinds of excuses, and God was already ready for him. He already had his brother on the way to take over, but God wasn't too happy with him because he was, he was resisting, and he wasn't accepting what God was telling him about himself. So think about that. And anyway, and God gave him all kinds, because Moses is like, oh, well, what kind of, what am I going to do if the people don't believe me? And God said, here, see that rod you've got in your hand? Throw it down. There's a song. Throw
it down, Moses.
Anyway, but anyway, so, and Moses threw it down, and it became a snake. And then God said, pick that snake up by the tail. And Moses picked it up by the tail, and it became a rod again.
Snake became a rod again. It's a good song.
Anyway, if you don't know, we have some cousins,
Blake and Jenna
that they're gospel singers, and Blake does that song, and he does a great job with it. I haven't heard him do it in a long time, but anyway, it's kind of fun one. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, if they're ever in your area, go see them. They're great.
Well worth it. And not just because of the name.
All right. We don't have time to go there. So anyway, we're running out of time. Okay. So God gave Moses tools to work with. And if you're neurodivergent, there are tools that you can work with. And if you need help with figuring out what those tools are, give me a holler. And that's what I'm all about, is helping you figure those things out. Anyway, and so, and he sent Aaron, his brother. And like I said, he was on the way. He was already on the way to see Moses. And so they went back together. Moses asked his father-in-law, to let him go back. And so he did. 80 years old, and he's asking, can I go back and check on my people? I don't know. Seems strange to me. But anyway, so he went back to see what was going on, supposedly. But he went back to lead his people out of Egypt. And of course, you know the story of the Exodus. I'm sure if you don't, just go read Exodus. But in chapters 32 through 34, that's when Moses goes up on the mountain to meet with God, and he gets the 10 Commandments, the tablets. And while he's up there, the people are grumbling, how long is this guy, Moses going to be there, and so on and so forth. And so he comes God had been watching what was going on.
They get impatient. They keep wondering why Moses is up there for so long and he's not coming back down. We need a leader, basically.
Yeah.
And so they put all their jewelry together, melt it down, and they build a golden calf.
Yeah.
And start worshiping the calf.
And then Moses comes down off the mountain. He gets upset.
Throws the tablets down.
And breaks them. There's your impulsivity. Mm-hmm. I mean...
the anger management.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? Where did I've lost my notes. Okay. Sorry. Let me see.
So he has to go back up on the mountain and talk to God again and get new tablets
Yeah.
And there he convinces God not to destroy the people for turning away.
You know, it's kind of interesting because when I was reading through this story, Moses got angry with the people and he was ready to destroy them.
I think so.
Anyway, so have you ever wanted to give up on people or on yourself? If you're called to something, how does your calling stretch you beyond your comfort zone? There was something else I was going to mention. I can find. Anyway, well, I know there was more. You had something. Okay, I guess we've run out.
Well,
there was something else that. Let's see. No, you mentioned that already.
which?
Him being the. Just a minute. Is this? Okay, just making sure that this thing was still. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I think it's time to wrap up. Oh, well, goodness. This is fun, actually.
It's been good.
It's interesting to look at these people and to look at the different traits. And I think there's more with Moses, and there's some that I'm forgetting. But that's typical, of ADHD. And we really could talk about this for a lot longer. If we had the right notes in front of us. But we're going to continue on. I'm not sure who we're going to talk about next week.
I don't know. There's several options. Several more.
You said you were looking and doing some research.
I was looking today, and what did I say? Samson, Esau.
Did you mention Jeremiah? Because I think that one's one that I was looking at.
I don't think I mentioned Jeremiah. But anyway, there's several more that we can talk about.
And I've got one special one that's going to that I'm going to talk about here down the road. That's a really powerful story. But we'll just we'll do some exploring and see what else we find. And this is not seeing ADHD in everyone. Oh, say hi to Chico.
Hi, Chico.
This is not seeing ADHD, around every corner, in every person. There are a lot of people with it in our circle of friends, but I think it's a matter of like attracts like. But we also have friends that are neurotypical. And it's like my niece said here a while back. She said, we didn't know any different. We thought that we were all neurotypical because it was in our family. It ran in the family. So my dad definitely had ADHD, even though he was never diagnosed. Because back then, he died, over 20 years ago. And so by that time they were barely recognizing it in adults. And he was in his 80s when he died. So anyway, it's really just now, we're learning more about it and learning more about treating it, and that's part of where coaching comes in. Coaching can make a big difference for people. It has made a big difference for me. It's a matter of helping you to understand how your brain works. And as you can see from the characters that we're looking at in the Bible, and we can't diagnose them, as a coach, I don't diagnose people. I do recognize patterns, and that's what we can do, is see patterns in these Bible characters and the things that they did and how they acted and reacted and what have you. And we can say it's possible that this person had ADHD. And that makes me wonder, which is normal?
What's normal?
It's a setting on the dryer, right?
Right.
Yeah, which is normal? I mean, is normal the way our... Whoa. Yeah, we're running out of time. My battery's going down for some reason.
I thought we were plugged in.
Well, it says we are, I think.
So I don't know what the...
I'm not sure, but anyway,
We better get
we're
up.
we're gonna get shut off here. So, we're gonna say good night for now for this week,
See you later.
and we'll let you know who we pick up on for next week. I don't know. We haven't decided that yet.
Yeah, stay tuned.
So yeah, stay tuned. That's TBD, to be determined. So we will talk with you later. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.